is there any differences in the brain that would suggest reasons why a lot of teenagers do have very high levels of social anxiety? I'm not, do adults also, because my assumption is,
Mm,
because this is just based on me, but maybe a few people around me as well, is like, I was really anxious when I was a teenager, but now I've matured a bit, I feel less anxious. And I just assumed that once you become an adult, you begin to feel less socially anxious now when you're out of school.
mm.
Is that actually true? Because that's what I
No,
just
I mean,
assumed.
my sense on that is that it's not true, because I found that my social anxiety, for instance, actually went up in my 20s. I was never like socially anxious as a teenager, really, like a little bit, but not, it wasn't too bad. It was manageable. It was only in my like mid to late 20s that I went through a period where my social anxiety really started to go up.
Was that?
Yeah, I don't, it's interesting. Like my doctor was like, when she was like prescribing me treatment for anxiety, we were talking about it. And she was saying that it's most likely linked to work. Number one, I was just massively overworking. I think throughout my 20s, when I was doing my master's and PhD and then working in labs, I was just really overworking. And I had this basically this self imposed pressure to achieve. And that, I mean, I remember she said that's going to be one of the main reasons your anxiety is going up. And that definitely makes sense in terms of that maps on perfectly to the time frame. And it also explains why I wasn't that anxious as a teenager. So yeah, so for me, it went the other way, and I started to get more and more anxious. And then it's only really been in recent years where I've eased off of work for a bit that my anxiety is starting to come back down to the level it was before. I still suffer with really bad anxiety, and like I still like occasionally take the medication that my doctor prescribes me for it. But yeah, I think for me and for many people I spoke to, it's so strongly linked with overwork. I think that I had basically gone through those psychological stages I mentioned earlier about dissatisfaction, cynicism, dehumanization, and then getting to the point of lingering anxiety. I think I got to that point because my anxiety was like, it was a lingering thing. It was something that was just always there. And I just, yeah, exactly. And I just ignored it because again, I was stuck in that mindset of thinking, like, no pain, no gain, got to keep
Yeah.
running faster and faster.
Of the
Like,
pain.
exactly. This is this feeling I'm having. I'm just gonna like stomach it. I'm just gonna put up with it. But then it becomes really debilitating and just not an enjoyable way to live at all. So I think, yeah, I think things like that they can definitely like oscillate and change quite dramatically depending on like how much work you're doing. But like the crucial takeaway from that is just that it really is to do with how hard we're working. And I think but then obviously it's going to be slightly different for, because I think in Jonathan Haidt's book, he talks about anxiety like going up in relation to smartphone use in like young girls to do with like social media. And that's obviously going to be linked to things like their identity and what's the term I'm looking for? Like body positivity, being like body
As
dysmorphia,
well.
the feelings they have about themselves because of these like ludicrous things that they're exposed to all the time. So obviously that's going to be really bad for anxiety and self-esteem and all those things. And I think that the reason it's going up so much in terms of that age group is because, as Jonathan Haidt discusses, like we're exposed to that now in such a profound way that we weren't before. I think people don't really appreciate that. It's been such a sudden influx of cognitive overload and information and things that can make us feel really anxious. And it's happened in only a couple of years. And that's obviously going to have profound impacts on our emotional well-being. So yeah, I think, yeah. And again, whether your smartphone is causing your anxiety through things like social media or through just you're using it because you're overworking, and the message is the same, just down the smartphone.
In terms of body dysmorphia, I think male body dysmorphia is on the rise now as well. And I think that's
Oh,
contributed
really?
to, yeah, like gym, social media, gym culture. And yeah, to be honest, like people I know that are male in my age bracket, like I know they've been struggling with body image and like body
Oh,
disorders,
really? Oh,
which, yeah, so it's on the rise.
oh
It's
God,
really on the rise. Yeah. So,
that's really sad.
but again, it's that social media thing and that seeing that person on steroids, like on the beach or whatever. And
Uh,
I think, again, going to the gym will hopefully alleviate that. But then also, it might not because then you might become too OCD about it.
Yeah.
So it's a
That's so
balance.
sad. I didn't know about that. I think I'm not really surprised. I go to the gym and like there are a couple of guys there that are like just like completely ripped and you just think, Jesus, that's they're just there all the time, basically.
That's
But
what it is, yeah.
but I feel like the people who are like like really desperate to aspire to that, I feel like they should just think more about what's actually healthy. You don't need to be ripped to be healthy. Like you need cardiovascular health more than anything. That's the most important thing, especially for your brain as well. Like a healthy heart really is a healthy brain. In nearly all of the studies looking at like dementia, Alzheimer's, and other neurodegenerative diseases, there's almost always at the same time a problem with the person's heart, or like they haven't had the healthiest heart. So lots and lots of neuroscientists now are looking at actually like markers in the heart to try and predict problems with the brain. Like the heart brain connection is much more profound than we realize. So like cardiovascular health is like the number one thing to focus on. But then yeah, lifting weights is also really important, especially as you get older. But yeah, I don't know, like this idea, like the idea of doing it to the point of being like, I don't know, it sounds like, yeah, like what you're describing as people just going through unhealthy, unrealistic aspirations of basically becoming like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that's
If you want to become a professional bodybuilder, then fair enough, man. But
yeah,
it's a professional, it's a job. That's a job in itself because you're going to have to be eating every other hour. You're going to have to be doing the meal prep. You're going to have to go to the gym twice a day, sometimes even 3 times a day. You're going to have to be dialed in on the kind of weight, your sleep. There's a whole job in yourself. And from my experience, like I'm not massive, but I've got like a lean muscular physique. I went from skin and bones to a lean muscular physique by just doing push pull legs rest and not stopping for 2 years and eating enough protein and sleeping enough and getting the rest like we're talking about. So to get a good body, it is doable, but you don't have to take it to the extreme where you're injecting like anabolic steroids into your
yeah.
body unless you want to win Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not literally being Arnold Schwarzenegger going to these competitions, then there really is no point. And it's just, if anything, it's going to be quite bad for you. But yeah, no, I think I had a little bit of body dysmorphia as well because I used to be I used to be quite overweight, and then when I was a teenager, and then in my early 20s, I lost a lot of weight. I was just I went running all the time. I started going to the gym. I started eating like really healthy, and I think I lost 3 stone or something. And so I wasn't like really overweight, but I was quite overweight. And I suddenly got like I was in really good shape. I was like very thin. Didn't have much body fat. I was very healthy. I felt much better as well. But then I do remember there were periods in my 20s as well where I would then like panic if like I put on a little bit of weight because I started thinking, oh no, I'm going back to that period where I was definitely overweight. And I mean, I remember even when like I started going out with my now wife, I remember I would worry about certain things and she would say to me like, I think you've got a bit of body dysmorphia. You don't need to worry about stuff like that. You're healthy. So yeah, no, it's quite debilitating and like overwhelming. That kind of thing. It's sad to hear that it's on the rise, but with social media and our phones and stuff, that doesn't surprise me.
But
Yeah.
then again, I still think if you think you're too skinny like I did, or you think you're too fat like you did, I think working on yourself and getting to the level where that belief's been destroyed and you're confident in yourself is a benefit. It's just if you get that almost OCD or compulsive or recurring thought where, oh no, it's going to happen again, because I know people that have been in that situation as well with the
Really?
losing weight thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, become quite obsessive about it. Yeah, for sure. I'm more relaxed about it now than I was, like definitely. Like now yeah, my main focus now is just like trying to keep my heart healthy. That's why I mostly like to do aerobic exercise. I run, I also swim, I cycle everywhere because I live in London, so I just cycle everywhere. Um, and I just feel like much better with doing that. Like I still do lift weights, but not as much as I used to because yeah, I would rather be like, they're not mutually exclusive, I know, but I would still rather be like aerobically, like really fit and healthy and like, have a really healthy heart than prioritize getting like big and muscly. So I remember like one of my professors at UCL described he was quite anti like getting really ripped. I think he described it as like luxury tissue or something. You don't need to be like, like super ripped and super muscly. And I was just like, luxury tissue, like I suppose it is. But then at the same time, it isn't as well, because it is like really good for you to lift weights and to be like physically strong and to be toned. I suppose toned is what people should be aiming for, not becoming like massive. But yeah. Gosh, yeah, this is making me want to go for a run.
Yeah, we'll be finishing soon, so you can do one afterwards. Yeah. But I think I'm quite lucky as well, because I, at the moment, live really far away from the gym, and it's like two massive hills in between me and the gym. So
Oh,
then
nice.
I'll walk there and back. It takes about half an hour.
That's
Then I'm
awesome.
moving house. I'm moving house next year, and the gym's like a minute walk away. So I was saying to me and my girlfriend, we're gonna have to like walk, like purposely walk, like just not for the sake of going somewhere, like just to go on a walk, which would be good for the
Yeah.
default network.
Yeah, exactly. You can get that prime default network resting brain activity, like more intentionally as well. You can have more intentional rest.